By listening to our target audience and finding out their opinions through interviews and questionnaires, we managed to incorporate key features into our film that would interest them the most. Research questionnaires and interviews, along with the research into films which would have similar target audience to ours, helped us to make our film in the most appropriate way to target in our audience. The characters in our film, music, setting, storyline and mise-en-scène are all based around the key kind of audience which we have. Firstly, the characters in our film are young or young adults. Using young adults for characters will target this specific age range and make the film much more relatable to this specific generation. The characters also target the audience through gender. As the main percentage of viewers for our film is expected to be males, we featured 2 male characters for the lead roles in the film. We have a male protagonist and a male antagonist, with a small role of the victim being played by a female. This represents a distribution between the genders watching our film. We also used mise-en-scène in order to attract the attention of our audience. The costume of the victim is typical of a young woman, making the film much more realistic and relatable to young females. The protagonist is very well presented, portraying a sense of importance and seriousness within his character. It is key for our protagonist to gain the respect of the audience, and we tried to gain this respect through the way that we presented this character. In many successful thriller films, such as Skyfall, the protagonist is well dressed, and therefore adopting this into our film will help to attract a similar target audience. We also used a forensic officer dressed in a full boiler suit, gloves and boots in this film. This added a sense of realism to the film, as opposed to a character dressed in a poorly thought out costume. Adding small details to the costume of our characters ensures the realistic nature to the film, which in turn creates a much more effective film. As well as costume props, such as the police tape and the sheets to cover the victim's dead body, made the film seem much more realistic. We thought it was important to use police tape as a prop for our film, as it helps to define the storyline, adding a realistic nature to the film and making the events much more dramatic and serious. Upbeat parallel music was used in our film. Linking the music to what is happening on screen causes the action and tension to be heightened overall. Dramatic music is used in iconic thriller films such as Bond films, Taken and Shutter Island. Therefore, we chose a similar kind of music to carry out the same effect as these films. As the action in our film is the key element to attracting our target audience, using a music which will benefit this effect is key to a successful film. Storyline is a very important aspect to a film. The storyline in our film is very original, mainly due to the plot twist. We chose to incorporate an antagonist who works with the protagonist as a CSI officer. The main plot twist is introduced when the murderer is identified as a CSI agent. The protagonist rings his CSI partner, who is previously identical to the audience as the murderer. The CSI partner asks his other partner to come to the crime scene to help with the investigation. The inspiration for a plot twist like this was taken mainly from a James Bond film, Skyfall, in which James Bond goes after a former MI6 agent. This plot twist heightens the action overall, making the audience wonder what will happen to the murderer after he has been caught and how this will pan out. This plot makes our thriller film much more original than an ordinary murder film, therefore gaining key interest of our target audience and in making them want to watch the rest of our film. We thought that setting was a very important aspect to our film. In order to make the film as effective as possible, the location needed to be successful in heightening the tension within the plot. We chose a rural location for the film, as we believed that using a rural isolated location for a murder-based plot would help in bringing out the dramatic and shocking nature of the film. The setting of our film is an isolated bridge overlooking a large, picturesque lake. The contrast between the sinister run-down bridge and the picturesque lake is key in foreshadowing the nature of the film. The contrast between good and bad between the lake and the bridge could be linked to the traits of the antagonist in our film, representing his split personality. The picturesque lake also contrasts with the sinister nature of the bridge and the murder, therefore benefiting the dramatic nature of the plot overall and attracting our audience. All of the elements above help to create the maximum amount of anticipation, tension, and shocking action within our film, in turn helping to attract the audience we have targeted. These key elements have been thought out and carried out in a particular way in order to grasp the interest of the audience of which we targeted our film at.